Martin Smith, welcome.
Hi, Kate.
Now, there were many noteworthy items of interest this week. What stood out for you the most?
Well, if I had to choose one point, it would have to be, of course, the ECB's Trichet and US Treasury Secretary Geithner's comments. You had Trichet making publicly timed remarks just as the euro was closing in on 150. In short, he debunked two of the strongest calls for a weak dollar. First, he said the US should actively pursue a strong dollar policy, and then he said that the euro should on no account be used as a reserve currency. Both comments are important because many believe that behind the scenes, the US is actually using the weak dollar to resurrect their economy. Secondly, we know that central banks globally have been hoarding the euro in lieu of the dollar. So what I'm saying really is that if the dollar returns to its status as the reserve currency, and of course the US is obligated to maintain the strength of the dollar as other countries' exports continue to slide, then dollar demand will resume after being dormant for the last year. Now this is all the more curious actually when you consider US Treasury Tim Geithner's remarks towards the end of the week, when he actually stated that the US is in favor of a strong dollar.
So what's your take as to the timing of this?
Well, there are a couple of inferences here. Before I talk about those, I just want to mention the prevailing thought behind central bank intervention. I've spoken in the past, of course, with a number of dealers on the street, and the consensus is that it's a short-lived move, meaning that the everyday person will not know when central banks, of course, are intervening in the market, but dealers, of course, usually do. And it causes a disruption in the market. However, once their orders are processed, the market usually returns back to the same level it was trading at before. The point in all this is not to quickly reverse market direction. If you know some of the biggest players want to push the market one way, would you really want to bet against them? I doubt it. So I believe this is all rhetoric, but it can be enough to get the markets thinking. At the very least, it disrupts momentum and perhaps slows things down a bit. So while the US does not want an overly weak dollar, it's not necessarily in any nation's best interests to have such an imbalance. So it's the road of the central banks to offset as much as possible market forces, but without themselves becoming a force in the market.
Interesting. Okay. And are there any other points of the week that you'd like to talk about?
Well, there are a number of surprises in the economic data releases. We have Australia and Canada's better than expected unemployment figures, and the US's better than expected advanced retail sales figures and empire manufacturing data. These were big market movers. Well, in years past, these were merely a barometer for an economy's health. But with traders looking for any clue into which economy will raise rates, these releases have become playing an increasingly larger role in the markets. Well, we're not out of the woods yet. My analogy would be that of surviving a storm at sea. You've lost your bearings and need to figure out which direction gets you to land fastest. Even if you see land, then how will you get there?
And probably economic data releases would be the compass for you to get there.
Yeah. Right.
Martin Smith, thank you very much.